The Honda Odyssey has been around since 1994, and get this, the first kids that ferried around are probably now at the age where they're looking for something to ferry their own spawn. In a world where SUV is king, we're going to see if Honda's venerable people mover is still up to the task, without once mentioning the word soccer mums. This is the 5th generation Odyssey, which has been around since 2013, but has received a couple of facelifts and tech upgrades since, including the most recent at the start of 2021. This brought aesthetic changes including a new design front and rear bumpers, grille, bonnet, headlights, alloy wheels and fancy turn signals. The Odyssey is available in Australia in 2 variants, including the entry-level VIL7 that retails for $44,250. It comes standard with leather seats including the second row's captain chairs, heated front seats, smart keyless entry, power sliding rear door, LED headlights and fog lights, and Honda sensing advanced driver assist technology. Like its main rival the Kia Carnival, the Odyssey is a great alternative to SUVs if your main mission is shifting more than 5 bodies in comfort. Space is abundant. I can't think of any other passenger vehicle where so much floor space is visible. There's no centre console, which is a little disconcerting at first, but there is a pop-out tray and cup holders, and each seat has armrests. There's no handy central storage bin, but there is one on top of the dashboard, which also has a USB socket, but it's not as convenient for the driver to reach. On the plus side, not having a centre console gives good access to the middle row, which means you can stop and help out the little kids, or make good of your threat of, if I have to come back there. To access the middle row, Honda has introduced new power-operated sliding doors, which are pretty good in theory, unless you're impatient like me. The fancy captain seats are quite like airline seats, economy ones mind you, in that they're quite narrow at the bum. They are very comfortable though, and they can recline a hell of a lot more than airline seats, and you've got plenty of knee room, though unfortunately you can't get your feet onto the front seats, which means you can't really stretch your legs that much. And like being in an aeroplane, there are air vents and a light near your head above each door, and there are bottle holders in front of the seats and cup holders in the sliding doors. There are big map pockets behind the front seats, but what I would really like to see is fold down tray tables, like you do get on aeroplanes, and the Volkswagen Tiguan Allspace. So it sort of means kids have nowhere to put stuff when you're travelling. You know, they switch between food and their devices and books and drinks. And really, apart from the map pockets, which some kids might not be able to reach, there's just nowhere to put it, so they're just going to be standing there waving their arms. The other big omission is USB ports. Why don't you put USB ports in the back of your Honda? It'll save plenty of arguments. On the plus side, the Odyssey's low floor makes it really easy to get in and out for young and old, and also to help strap the kids into their seats. The low floor also makes the Odyssey's 3rd row one of the easiest to access. You just fold and slide the second row seat forward and step in, unlike some 7-seaters where, for older people like me, getting in comes at the expense of dignity. The 3rd row seats are actually quite comfortable. 2 adults here would sit here quite comfortably even for long trips, and knee room is pretty good, a bit like sitting in the back of a hatchback. There are air vents and lights and really good forward vision, so even if you draw the short straw to sit back here, you won't feel excluded from the rest of the vehicle. With all 3 rows in place, the Odyssey has a 322 litre boot space that I reckon will fit about 3 big suitcases standing up, or a pram and some bags. The 3rd row seats cleverly fold into the floor, which turns this into a 5-seat van that holds 1,725 litres, or items up to about 1.5 metres long. So that's the Odyssey's practical side. What's it like to drive? It's easy to compare people movers to SUVs, but the Odyssey's low ride height actually makes it feel like you're driving a big car. It's softly sprung and it rides on big chunky 7-inch wheels, so it rides over road imperfections and the speed bumps well. It really absorbs them. So that means you're not really disturbing the people in all 3 rows. Because it has a low centre of gravity, that ride comfort doesn't really come at the expense of handling. It actually handles sharp bends really well. It's surprisingly nimble for a car that's almost 4.9 metres long. And the steering is direct but light, so anyone who's afraid of driving such a big car is quickly put at ease once they jump into this. The 2.4 litre petrol engine is a willing worker. It's coupled with a CVT auto, so there's that screaming when you take off, which is pretty normal for such a gearbox. But once it gets up to speed and settles, it's pretty good for such a heavy car. And you find there's always plenty of power in reserve once you're at highway speeds. If you want to get up to speed quicker, there is a sports mode which changes the rev mapping, so you get right up to that power bend a lot quicker. But having used it, I can't really see too much of a difference between that and drive. Alternatively, there's the Econ mode, which does the opposite with the revs and sort of keeps them down so you're not using too much fuel. Speaking of which, the Odyssey has an 8 litre per 100 kilometre combined fuel economy rating, which is pretty good for a car this size, but I reckon in real world conditions, especially with a few bodies in the back, you could expect that to get into double figures. This is a really comfortable car to drive. I really like the seats. You do really mould into them nicely. They're nice and soft, really plush leather. They have quite a premium feel. And the whole cockpit, you know, it's typical of Honda. The fit and finish is really well. The drive position is great. It's got excellent forward vision, though the really long A-pillar can block a bit of vision in that sort of front three-quarter view. And I found, like, when you're driving somewhere slowly, like a shopping centre car park, if someone sort of steps out in front, you're not going to really see them until the last minute. But side and rear vision is good for a car this size, though it can be hampered a bit if you've got heads in your rear view mirror. You've got the reversing camera to help you there. Parking is pretty easy. It is a long car, but it's not really wide, 1.82 metres, so it's no different to parking most bigger cars or SUVs. The reversing camera is one of a host of safety features in the Odyssey, which also includes autonomous emergency braking, lane keeping assist, road departure mitigation, blind spot monitor, rear cross traffic alert, and adaptive cruise control. Other new tech includes an electronic gauge cluster that shows different displays in the tacho. It looks good but sadly lacks a digital speedo, so you can quickly monitor your speed while concentrating on the road. Also new to this model is an 8-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, with music played through a decent 6-speaker audio system. So does the Odyssey still stand up as the people mover of choice for the next generation of soccer mums? Well, at $44,250, this entry-level Odyssey VI-L7 ticks all the boxes when it comes to practicality, comfort and safety. But these days, people mover owners, not least families, expect more by way of amenity within the cabin, not least things like the USB ports in the other rows or more storage nooks and tray tables. And that can make all the difference in the showroom between this and an SUV or the 8-seat Kia Carnival.